He froze. The entire boardroom froze. A tiny voice echoed through the marble halls of the skyscraper like a fragile bell. The rigid air of corporate authority cracked as every executive turned. A little girl with messy pigtails and a small lunchbox stood by the door, smiling innocently at the most powerful man in the city. This was how the impossible reunion began. Dear viewers, make sure you stay until the end of this story, because love sometimes arrives from the most unexpected places. Support this channel with a like and subscribe if this story touches your heart, because every heart deserves a moment like this. Ethan Cole was an empire disguised in a human form. The CEO of Cole Industries, a billionaire whose name alone could silence markets and command nations. Yet behind his tailored suits and unshakable confidence lived a man who had forgotten how to live outside schedules, mergers, and quarterly earnings. After losing his wife 5 years ago in a tragic accident, Ethan locked his emotions behind a steel wall. Work became his only language. He believed love was a distraction and tenderness a liability. Each morning, the chauffeur delivered him to the tallest building in the city, where power became oxygen and vulnerability threatened survival. However, destiny has a peculiar way of finding cracks in the strongest armor. Across the city, in a modest neighborhood tucked between worn fences and peeling paint, lived a little girl named Lily Parker. She was 7 years old, brave, imaginative, and full of questions that the world often ignored. She lived with her mother, Emily Parker, a hardworking woman who juggled 2 jobs to keep the lights on and food in their tiny kitchen. Lily never complained. Instead, she created magic out of their difficulties. She taped broken books with colored ribbons and pretended the streetlight outside her window was a star watching over her. Yet she felt a secret loneliness that she never voiced. She had never known her father. Emily always told her that her father had loved her but could not stay. It was never enough. Lily drew pictures of him, imagined his voice, and dreamed that one day he would walk through the front door holding her favorite strawberry cupcakes. One cold morning, Lily woke before the alarm. She found her mother asleep at the kitchen table, still wearing her uniform from the night shift. Emily's hands trembled even in her sleep, but her face remained calm, peaceful despite exhaustion. Lily stood there, wondering why kindness had to work so hard to survive. She saw an untouched lunch on the counter, a sandwich wrapped neatly with a little sticky note on top. "For my sunshine. Have a beautiful day." A smile warmed her face. She hugged her mother gently, placed a blanket over her shoulders, and whispered, "I will make the world nicer for you today." She packed her backpack and clutched her lunch. The school was only a few blocks away, but Lily chose a different path that morning. She wanted to surprise her mother during her second job break. She wanted to give her a hug, just because. She skipped steps joyfully, following what her heart believed was right. Fate redirected her feet. Downtown shimmered with glass towers and polished streets. Lily stared up in awe at the colossal skyscraper with the name Cole Industries engraved confidently across the entrance. People in suits rushed inside with steel expressions, clutching coffee cups like shields. Lily stepped toward the revolving doors. Her little heart raced, but her courage stood taller than the building itself. She did not know that this single choice would change every life that crossed her path. Meanwhile, Ethan practiced his speech, preparing for the most critical meeting of the year. Investors waited. Hundreds of employees depended on him. Every second was worth millions. He inhaled sharply, ready to dominate another room. Then the door opened. A security guard cleared his throat and looked awkwardly confused. "Sir, there is a child outside asking for you." Ethan frowned. "Impossible. I have no children." Yet curiosity dragged him forward. He stepped into the hallway. Then he saw her. A small girl looking up at him, wide-eyed, holding out a lunchbox like a sacred offering. Her soft voice shattered the concrete of his control. "You forgot your lunch, Daddy." The sentence lodged in his chest like a forgotten memory. He stood paralyzed. His breath caught. His heartbeat stumbled. Every person nearby stared in disbelief. The girl smiled at him with absolute certainty, as if she knew him better than anyone alive. Ethan knelt slowly, struggling to find words that made sense in a world that suddenly felt unreal. "I believe you are mistaken. I am not your father," he said gently. Lily tilted her head, confused. "Mommy said my daddy works in a very tall building. This is the tallest building. So you must be him." Her logic was pure, unbreakable. Ethan almost smiled for the first time in years. Security wanted to take Lily to Lost and Found Services, concerned for her safety. Yet Ethan surprised everyone, including himself. "Let her stay," he ordered. Investors whispered. Executives exchanged nervous glances. The greatest titan of industry was being outmaneuvered by a 7-year-old girl with mismatched socks. Ethan brought her into his office while the world waited for his leadership. Lily, fearless, asked questions faster than he could answer. "Why are your walls so tall? Do you get lonely up here? Is being rich like having superpowers? Why do people look sad even when they have shiny shoes?" Her innocence peeled away the layers he had built around himself. For the first time in years, someone treated him like a person rather than a title. Lily's visit turned into a miracle that spread like lightning through the corporate floors. Workers smiled more. Executives acted less strict. Even the receptionist played with her during lunch. Ethan could not understand the pull she had on him. He felt something awaken. Something he forced himself to bury long ago. Still, reality waited outside emotions. Lily needed to go home. With help from staff, they discovered her school. Ethan himself drove her there. On the ride, she hummed a quiet tune. He found himself listening like it mattered. Before she climbed out of the car, she looked back. "Thank you for not being scary." The sentence hit him harder than any hostile takeover. He watched her wave until she disappeared behind the gates. His heart felt unfamiliar weight. That night, he could not sleep. The next afternoon, Lily returned. This time, she carried a drawing, Ethan standing with her, both smiling beside a giant building with a heart on top. "You forgot this too," she giggled. He allowed her inside again. Every visit softened him. Every question she asked forced him to remember the warmth he once had. She talked about her mother, hard-working, tired, but full of love. Ethan listened with emotion he tried desperately to hide. One day, Lily fell asleep on his office couch. Ethan covered her with his jacket. He stared at her small peaceful face, and a terrifying thought crossed his mind. He wished she were his daughter. The thought warmed him. It also scared him. Soon enough, the truth became impossible to ignore. Ethan asked his private investigator to locate Lily's mother, hoping to return her safely and discreetly. Emily arrived the next day, panting, anxious, overwhelmed. She apologized repeatedly, fearing consequences she could hardly bear. Ethan observed her silently. She looked too young to carry the weight she did. Her eyes told stories of lost dreams and silent battles. He escorted her into his office, where Lily ran into her arms. Ethan spoke calmly. "Your daughter is remarkable. She brings life wherever she goes." Emily stiffened, expecting judgment. "I am sorry she disturbed you," she whispered, as if kindness required apology. "She did not disturb me," Ethan replied. "She helped me." Emily finally looked directly at him, confused. While conversing, Ethan discovered Emily had once been an intern at one of his subsidiary companies years ago. She left when she got pregnant, never asking for help, never revealing the father's identity. He felt a flicker of suspicion. Could he be the father? Could fate be that precise? He asked delicately. Emily shook her head. No, Mr. Cole. Lily's father was a kind man, but he left before she was born. His name was Aaron. He worked construction. I never saw him again. Ethan nodded. His heart both sank and lifted. She was not his daughter, yet he already cared for her. He extended financial support. Emily refused. My daughter must learn that someone can rise from hardship through work and honesty, she explained. Her dignity stood unwavering. Ethan admired her strength. Days passed. Lily's drop-ins stopped. The skyscraper felt empty again. Ethan realized something profound. Without Lily, success felt hollow again. His laughter disappeared. The walls regained their shadows. He missed her. He missed the version of himself she brought to life. Then, one evening, the news arrived. Emily had collapsed at her job. Her heart could no longer bear the burden of double shifts and constant stress. She was in critical condition at the hospital. Lily had no one. Ethan rushed there immediately. He found Lily alone in a waiting chair, hugging her knees, tears silently escaping. She looked up and whispered the words that broke the last wall inside him. You are the only daddy I have. He gathered her into his arms. No hesitation. No fear of vulnerability. Emily survived the night, but the doctors warned she required long-term medical care and rest. Bills stacked like mountains. Ethan stepped forward. He covered everything. He found them a safe home. He visited daily. Slowly, Emily accepted the help because she saw love rather than obligation. Lily never let go of his hand. Months later, with Emily recovering and Lily thriving in a new school, Ethan appeared on stage at his annual corporate conference. Journalists, investors, and thousands of employees filled the space. Expectations pointed like arrows. He opened his speech with words that silenced an entire world. Success without compassion is failure. Wealth without purpose is poverty. A little girl reminded me of that. He introduced Lily and Emily to the audience. He announced new company initiatives supporting single parents, children's education, and community health. Applause erupted like thunder. Lily looked up at him and proudly said, "They like my daddy." He corrected gently. "I may not be your father by blood. Yet in my heart, you will always be my daughter." Emily smiled through tears. For the first time, Ethan saw hope in her eyes. Lily jumped into his arms, warm and safe. The world watched a billionaire rediscover the treasure he had been missing, a family. Sometimes, family is not defined by DNA. Sometimes, love chooses you. Sometimes, destiny sends you a small girl in pigtails holding a lunchbox to remind you that life has greater meaning than power and wealth.